Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris. I know it has been forever. You're like, Chris, it has been over a month since you've put anything out, and I am very aware of this. I do want to say disclaimer before we get into this. They are doing construction in the next room, so if you hear any loud banging or anything like that, that's what it is. I'm not keeping people in the walls. I do not have anybody living in the walls, and I believe there is no one in a room locked up. I believe that. I can't say for sure, but I believe that that is the case in this place I'm living. So let's get right into the video. Now, quickly, I'm going to do all the titles that I picked up for the subscriber week sale, as well as the monthly titles, as well as the Cinematograph title and the Vinegar Syndrome Labs title. And then we're going to get into some other stuff that I picked up that's not Vinegar Syndrome. I know, shocker. I picked up this sweet popsicle t-shirt for the sale. And then we're going to get into a brief, short thing at the end where I'm going to kind of do a channel update. I want to do kind of a whole video, but a lot of people just miss those. They don't get pushed. So I figure a lot of you are going to watch this video. So just stay tuned for that. And I kind of give a brief update of where I'm at, how the move went, the setup and going. That's why this is a little late. I've been moving over the last couple weeks. And then kind of what I'm doing next. Some of you are aware that I'm in the process of making a larger project than what I normally do. And I also have the next video picked out as well. So some stuff will be coming back, but we'll go over that all in that truncated thing at the very end. Let's get into these titles, if you will. If you find this video entertaining, or you like what I picked up, or you like me and you want to check out my other content, consider subscribing to the channel, becoming part of the collective, and like the video and share it with anybody you think that is into physical media and weird, obscure horror movies. Let's get right into it. Now, at the top, this was not intentional. I picked up 2 Billy Blanks movies from the VSA line, and I was thinking to myself, man, I really should get back into Tae Bo. You know, it's not that I'm not in shape, but I mean, maybe it could work. Anyway, let's get into these. So I have 3 VSA titles that I picked up. The first one is Expect No Mercy. So I have not seen these movies at all before, so I just kind of wanted to pick them up while they were on sale and kind of see what they're all about. The next one is going to be Talons of the Eagle. Would once again, Billy Blake. There's the front, there's the back. These are all going to be wrapped because I sure as hell have not had time to watch any of these other than 2, which will be very key in what I'm doing going forward. All right, the next one is Moon of the Wolf, which I had been wanting this title for a while. I really like the art here, and I had been curious to watch this movie and see what it was all about. Let's continue on. The next one is a box set. This is Camille Keaton in Italy. So this is a really nice box set here. The titles we have in here are Madeline, Tragic Ceremony, and Sex of the Wish. You know, you don't got to talk to me twice about Sex with a Wish. But anyway, let's pop these out and see what they look like. Again, not opened. We got Madeline there, Tragic Ceremony, and I've actually never seen these before. I've seen some Camille Keaton stuff. Then we've got Sex of the Witch. So, you know, I'm looking forward to diving into these at some point when I get some free time. But let's move on. So this is Kruku, Beast of the Amazon. So this is actually the first one in the Vinegar Syndrome Labs line. I am going back and trying to pick up titles in that line because I just recently started collecting that line. I think with Paganini was the first one that I bought, and then I got Cat's Creep with the Vinegar Syndrome Labs and the VSA titles. Now that I'm kind of going back and filling those in, I am trying to get them as they come out. So I'm trying to keep up with at least the new ones and then kind of fill in the back ones when they go on sale. All right, the next one, surprisingly, I did not own. I don't know why I never bought it. It's the same with Sidekicks. They were just movies that I really wasn't interested in, but I am now trying to fill in some holes with my Vinegar Syndrome collection because I think it's one of those things at this point. I do not endorse this decision and I do not condone it. Yeah, I condone it for myself because I am a crazy person, but I am trying to collect all of the Vinegar Syndrome stuff. I know it is pointless. It makes no sense. There's a lot of movies that I will not like that I will own, but there's a lot of crazy people that own all the Criterion stuff, and I think 90% of that stuff's garbage. So that's just me. And now I'm going to own 90% garbage. So we can agree to disagree, but I think it's a path that I have already been jettisoned on. So it's really not that unheard of for me to get the rest of them. It's mainly just keeping up with them and then getting a lot of backouts. I do have a ton of titles that do not have slip covers. So even if you see a lot of my Vinegar Syndrome stuff, I have entire shelves with no slip covered ones. So I am trying to pick up any of those that go out of print, but it's an endeavor. You know, it's a journey. It's a journey. But anyway, I picked up Six String Samurai. I don't know why I never got this. It's been on the site. It's not sold out. It's just one of those things. It's been there for a while. It's the second one in the Vinegar Syndrome Ultra line, and I figured, you know what? It was on sale. I think I got it for like $20. So I was like, hey, I'll pick it up. Same with Sidekicks, which I think is still packed. I know that I got it and it's just somewhere here, but I think it's in a box with all my VHSs. I think somehow there's a couple titles that got mixed in with my VHSs, but I also did pick up Sidekicks. So that kind of rounds out the Ultra line for me. So I have all of those now. All right, let's get into the next one. These are all just basic Vinegar Syndrome titles. So we'll kind of rush through these a little bit. We've got Buried Alive, Edgar Allan Poe's Buried Alive, because there is also a Frank Darabont movie called Buried Alive. So lots of Buried Alives. All right, the next one is Five Women for the Killer. I gotta hide the titties. I'm sorry. I gotta, YouTube is weird, so I don't know if they're gonna let me show it, but the main cover does not have it on there, so we won't show that off. I know I gotta censor these things, That's where we are these days. Now, I don't actually know if YouTube will do anything. I doubt it, but the next one is the Densonville Terror. I really like this artwork. I think it's very cool. This movie is okay. I like parts of it. I think there's a lot of cool effects in here with faces melting, if I remember right. So I think that's in there. The next one I got is Blood Delirium. Again, I really like the art on all of these. All the art is amazing, but I've actually never seen this movie, though. So it was one of those that I am kind of happy. I tried to pick things, honestly, that were on sale that I did not know or own or anything, because my thinking, as flawed as it may be, is that I'm more likely to pick up a title that I am unaware of or that I haven't seen at a cheaper price, which is probably most of you. So I'm more willing to blind buy a lot more stuff at a cheaper price for, some of these were like $12. So I'm more willing to pay $12 than $28, $29 on a title that I've never seen before. Now, I do that with new titles, but that's why I became a subscriber, so I don't have to look at that price. But anyway, so a lot of these I haven't seen before, but I figured this was the time to add them to the collection between the Black Friday sale, this sale, and the upcoming actual Black Friday sale. I figured that's the time to kind of go back and get some of these titles that I wouldn't normally pay full price for. So the next one is Mutant Hunt. Again, another rad cover. If there's any of these movies that you're like over the moon for that you think I should watch first, just leave it in the comments below. Like, Chris, you need to watch Mutant Hunt today because it's awesome. It's maybe something I'll cover in the future. All right, the next one is The Birds 2, Land's End. I've actually never seen this either, which is weird. I'm a big fan of The Birds, but never seen the sequel to The Birds, which, I don't know why you would. It's The Birds, but let's continue on, man. I can't even, oh my God, I am dropping movies and I can't even get stuff back in slip covers. There's so many titles. So let's scoot these back. I got too many titles here to kind of get through. All right, the next one is two movies, two Jess Franco movies. We got two Undercover Angels and then Kiss Me Monster. So I have changed how I am filing my Vinegar Syndrome stuff now due to this and another title where they have multiple titles in there. There's obviously a bunch of them that have multiple titles in them. And so I have gone to a strictly numbered, especially on my quest to kind of get most of these. I'm in order now. So they're going from 1 to we're almost at 500 now. So 1 to 500. DVDs not included. I do have some older Vinegar Syndrome DVDs. This is going to be more modern from Blu-ray on to 4K. And if there is a 4K, I usually don't keep the Blu-ray. So I've gotten rid of most of those unless it just has a really cool cover. But a lot of those I'm selling to get said 4Ks. So let's continue on with Steel and Lace. I think the only thing that I am doing is I am separating them by the labels and then putting them in that order. So since I am, for the first time, trying to round out my Vinegar Syndrome Labs and my VSA titles, I've put those separately, and then I'm going to kind of, put those in order. Same with my Cinematograph ones that are over there, my Degauser, especially with like the VHS stuff that I've started to get. All right, the next one is Alien from LA. I really like this cover. It's this like glossy embossed cover, which is super rad. I really love this movie. It's a fun 80s like direct-to-TV movie that I think is a lot of fun. All right, the next two are collections, and they were ones that I like one or two of the movies in these collections, but I think the collections are really cool, and I wanted to see what the other collections were and what the other movies were, and these are the Cardonia collections. So the one cool thing about these I'll show off once we're done. There's the front. There's the back. This has Treasure of the Amazon, Triangle, the Bermuda Mystery, and Cyclone. And again, a lot of really cool artwork inside and out for these. And then we have the next one is the Cadonian Collection, Volume 2. This has Beaks the Movie, Under Siege, The Keisaku Ardinoch. I butchered that. I didn't even try. I thought it was English for a second, and then it wasn't. Anyway, SOS Bikini. I'm so sorry. I didn't even try. My brain was like, I got this, and then I didn't got it. Anyway, there's the front of this. The back of this. I've heard there's again, I've seen 1 or 2 titles, and I've heard there's a couple other ones that are pretty decent. The one cool thing about these, if you don't own both of these, is they're actually magnetic. So they magnetize together to sit on the shelf, which I think is pretty rad. So that's pretty cool. They didn't have to do that. It's a small detail, but I think that's why I like Vinegar Syndrome so much. Anyway, let's move on to the monthly titles that I got. So we've got Repticula. Okay, so I am aware that it is Reptilicus. Okay, I apparently can't read, but it is Reptilicus, not Repticulus. I don't know what I'm thinking today. It's been a long week. Now, this is a bonkers hard shell and inner shell for a movie that is ridiculous. But again, this is why I love Vinegar Syndrome so much. Them doing a 4K of this damn movie is wild, because this movie is very fun, but not that great. So I am just ecstatic that this has a 4K and is coming in the packaging that it's in. So I highly recommend that you pick that up if you haven't. The next one is there is a Mexican movie called Intrepid Punks and Vengeance of the Punks. So again, another twofer set. You get 2 movies in here. I've never seen either of these movies, so I'm excited. Like I said, a lot of why I like Vinegar Syndrome is just getting titles that I've never heard of from other countries or in other languages. So I really like that aspect of it, because these are movies that I probably wouldn't find on my own. All right, the next one is a very infamous title, and that is a Chinese Torture Chamber Story 1 and 2. These have wild scenes in them. Wild. So if you Google this and you look at some of the scenes in this, it's going to make you laugh for one, because they are comedies, but they are also ridiculous. So these are very fun movies, very wild movies. So if you know about these movies, you do know about these movies. So this is a bananas set of films to have on Blu-ray. I am excited because it's that, that guilty pleasure that you have. This is that in spades. So again, excited to kind of finally have that on a nice format. All right, the next 2 are the Vinegar Syndrome Labs title for the month, and that is Interrogation. Very cool cover art. I really like this. This is a film I have seen, but has been a very long time, and I am excited that they have gotten this. I've watched this on a very bad rip before, so it's very cool that I'll be able to rewatch this in a better quality, and it's from the master from the studio, so I'm excited about that transfer. All right, this next one, I've never seen this movie before, and again, the cinematograph stuff has been kind of hit and miss for me. I like some of the titles, I don't like some of the titles, but I think it's very cool. It's a lot of American stuff that I have not seen before, and I think that's really cool. I'm used to a lot of obscure, Japanese and German and Italian films and horror, but this is kind of opening my eyes to a lot of American movies like Red Rock West I had never seen before, which is crazy because that's such a phenomenal movie. Little Darlings I had never seen before. So there's a couple titles in here that I had just never seen or even heard about before. So because again, my brain is focused on weird shit all the time. So sometimes these movies that came out, they got underappreciated or underloved during their time. It's cool to kind of see that they're getting new life in this form. So this one is Last Embrace. From what it says, it is an erotic thriller. So now that we're here at this, I only have a few things left. I do have one complaint about this line. Maybe I'll do a video about it at some point, reviewing the whole line once we're through the end of the year and kind of do an update. I do not like that the synopsis for these is on the J card. It's only on the J card. So it's I have to keep the J card. I don't keep J cards, so I don't know. I'm conflicted with this. I know it's elsewhere in here, but I just wish it was more accessible somewhere else. I know they're keeping this book style thing, But I think it's my only complaint is that I kind of like have to keep these, and I really don't like to keep these because they don't do anything for me, and I typically open them and I want to have like the actual casing here. So I've kept all of them because I'm just like, that's what I'm gonna do. But that's, I think, my only complaint is I really don't like that aspect of it. Not that I want it embossed on the thing because I think that would be very difficult, but neither here nor there. All right, the last two things before we get into the remaining titles that aren't Vinegar Syndrome are these two titles. So I got Scared to Death and I got Creature. Now, why I've saved these till the end, this is basically just an Alien ripoff. Scared to Death is great and fantastic and very funny. So this is William Malone. I'm not going to specifically say what the film is that I watched, but anyway, I watched these two movies because I'd never seen them before. And I was like, oh, and then I was going through, I've been on vacation because I was moving, and I was going through stuff on Amazon Prime, just looking for something to watch because I'm willing to watch garbage. I always watch garbage, but anyway, willing to watch stuff that I don't normally be interested in because I had time. If I'm on my own time and working and doing all this stuff, I want to watch stuff either for a video or stuff that I really, really want to watch. So I came across this movie. It's a 2000s movie. If you can figure it out, very cool. It's going to be the next video after my next video. So anyway, this man directed this thing, and it got me thinking about, it's not a great movie, which is par for the course, but the lavishness and the cinematography and how the movies looked in this era of horror, I think is fantastic. And also kind of comparing that movie to this person's work is very interesting. So again, that's coming down the pipeline. I think it's a movie. I'm getting 2 copies of this movie. It is only available on DVD and VHS. It has no Blu-ray. It has no 4K. I'm not saying that it needs those because, again, not a great movie. But for my purposes, I needed to have both versions. I need to watch this again in not a streaming format. But let's move on to the final titles I got. And then again, just a little update at the end. All right. So I picked up Patrick and the remake of Patrick. I didn't even know there was a remake to Patrick. I have this weird sequel thing with Patrick. I think Patrick is a very cool movie. Anyway, the next thing I got, we're getting some steelbooks now. I think the rest of these are steelbooks, actually. I finally got the Saw steelbook, the Lionsgate one. This was in a bin at Walmart for $5. I owned the standard edition, but I missed the steelbook, so I was finally able to kind of add that. And I was like, you know what? I will add that. Anyway, the next one is Starship Troopers, Traitor of Mars. I've been playing some Helldivers, and so it was making me think about Starship Troopers, and this was something that I didn't own. So I figured, why not? It was on sale for Amazon Prime Day. All right. The next two are kind of rounding out collections. So I got Rocky 5 and Rocky Balboa. 4K Steelbook, finally got those added in. And then I know there's some contention around these releases, but I got Jaws 3 and Jaws the Revenge. These are not good movies, and there's apparently some really bad AI upscaling in these. I've been watching these on VHS. I'm not going to get into the AI stuff or the upgrades in this movie. They're bad fucking movies. They're bad movies. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to rant and rave about that. So it's not cool. It's not great for the format. It's not great for a lot of things. So that's for another day. We'd have a whole discussion, a whole nother video. But let's move on to the last thing. And that is the Transformers Steelbooks. It doesn't annoy me that the new one is not in here. I'm not saying it's the greatest movie. I'm not saying that I love all these movies, but they're all in one set. I did not own any of these because I think over the years I have picked up random titles. Now these were like day one Blu-rays for me at the time because the format was so new and I had my plasma and I was like, you know what I want? I want a beautiful movie, especially because the second one, I believe, had the IMAX scenes in it. So it was very cool. It would crop open. Optimus Prime is in the woods fighting. They did a lot more of that. Same with The Dark Knight. They did a lot more of the cropping in with the IMAX scenes. So those were day one purchases. The audio was good. The Atmos on these is incredible. So again, now having a new setup for my surround, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get these. I'm going to try this out. The Atmos is killer. So these were on sale during Amazon Prime Day. So they were like half off. So I figured, I'm like, okay, I'll finally pick these up. All right. That's all the titles, man. I'm almost out of breath, Anyway, that's all the titles. The quick update that I kind of wanted to go over is I am, again, making a longer form video, and I am trying to figure out my cadence of release stuff between work and moving and now having a a permanent setup that I can actually record a lot more during the week. Means I can work on stuff a lot more during the week, whereas I really only had one day I could record everything, which is kind of crazy. I was basically filming, watching, editing all in one day and releasing those Nightmare flashbacks, and it may show. But anyway, so I want to spend a little more time doing that stuff, whether it's Nightmare flashbacks or this new video that I'm making, video series that I'm making. So basically what's probably going to happen is there's probably going to be one Nightmare flashbacks a month and one of these other videos a month. Once we get out, we'll talk more about that stuff. But they will take me about a month to edit each, a couple weeks. So it'll give me a couple weeks to edit the Nightmare flashbacks and put a little more time into those. And then especially the other series will be monthly. So it's going to give me a month in between to edit those because they are filmed in different locations. It's a lot of different stuff. It's not just me talking to the camera. So I think it's very interesting. I've also thought, what would I make if I had a lot of time and didn't put myself into a box of making stuff on a weekly basis. So I'm not going to do it. There's no reason. I'm not beholden to anybody. I'm not beholden to any sponsors. And all of you, I hope you stick around and wait for what's coming because I think it's going to be better than anything I've ever made. I think it's going to be more entertaining than what I've made. I'm writing a lot of this, so it's time that I can sit down and really figure out what I want to say about movies. So again, Nightmare Flashbacks will probably be pretty similar to what it has been. Again, just a little more edited, a little more free-formed in its locations and where I'm filming. I'm trying to get myself out of just filming in front of this wall of movies. So different locations. I've got some new equipment that I'm moving around. So I think they're going to be more interesting visually for you to watch and to listen to. I'm really working on audio. So I've got new mics. So you can probably hear the difference in this video, but I also have another new mic that I can move around. I've gone away from the wireless ones. I really just didn't like the way that they sounded. So I've got more new stuff connected to the cameras and stuff than I did before. So again, I'm trying to up the production a little bit, not go crazy. I think if I put nothing out but spend a year on something, there's no point. But again, I want to just make stuff better. And I think when you come to the channel, I think I owe it to you to make the best content I can. I owe it to myself to make the best content that I can personally. Like, what am I trying to make? What am I trying to do? And I want to put out very cool stuff that still covers obscure movies and in very cool ways and stuff that's going to last a little longer than what I think my videos do now. So I hope you'll stick around for that. We'll still do some 4K stuff here and there. We'll still do some collection updates. I can't promise that I'm going to be doing any more 4K reviews. I know that may be, diminishing to some of you guys who have watched those videos. I don't know. I think they're very easy to make, in concept. And I think I would just rather spend the time on making these other videos. I am going to be bringing back the podcast, probably either this month or next month. I think it will be bi-weekly or once a month, whatever it is. And in the podcast, we will discuss new movies, horror stuff that I'm watching, and it'll give me my platform to discuss a lot of those things. Maybe I'll have guests on. I have had before. So Justice Flip will come back probably August, September, because I do want to go back to that. I like the long form nature of that, and it just gives me a space to talk about more modern stuff. Like, I saw Long Legs. I want to talk about it. I saw Deadpool Wolverine. I saw Twisters. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, just life in general, and that's going to be the avenue for it. So I think those are going to be the pillars of my channel going forward. We're going to do the podcast. We're going to do the new series, and then we're going to do Nightmare Flashbacks. So I hope you guys will stick around. I know it's a hiatus, but I think it's going to be well worth it in the end for these new things to come along, and I hope you'll join me. But other than that, I think that's all I've got. I'm making some videos for you at the end, as always. If you like what we do here, consider becoming part of the collective, and I will talk to you guys sometime. I don't know when it's going to be, but it's going to be soon. I promise. I'm getting to work this week on my other video, so I promise I will have something very soon in the next couple weeks. I don't rush myself because it's a new thing, but in the next couple weeks.